In the early 90s, word had it that a movie based on Mario Brothers was going to be made, and us kids couldn't wait. After all, back in the late 80s and early 90s, Mario was life, and us kids couldn't get enough of the Mario Brothers Nintendo games, where kids got to play the ultimate adventure, where Mario and his brother Luigi go on an action-packed quest to save a princess from a reptilian beast monster called Bowser. And seeing this adventure on the big screen, what could go wrong? Well, in 1993 the movie came out, and, well, it went wrong. In the movie, Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo play Mario and Luigi, where they have to go to a parallel dinosaur universe where mankind evolved from dinosaurs, which literally looks nothing like the world from the video game, in order to save Princess Peach, who is now called Princess Daisy, and is now the love interest to Luigi. And they also have to defeat the evil King Bowser, who is now called Koopa. Oh, and is now a human played by Dennis Hopper, involving a plot in which Koopa wants some meteor crystal to open up a doorway between our world and the dinosaur world, or something like that. And along the way they meet familiar faces, such as Toad, who is now this guy, and Goombas, who are now no longer tiny but overshadowing giants. Yeah, look, this film totally got it wrong when it came to representing its source material, and has gone down with movie lovers and Mario fans as being notoriously awful. And needless to say, despite having the Mario name brand attached to it, it totally bombed at the box office. But the big question is the movie all bad? In fact, some people suggest that if you remove the Mario brand, it's actually a great dark children's adventure movie, with Blade Runner-like visuals. Well, today we are going to find out by looking into 10 things that you may not know about the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Brace yourself, this is going to be one insane episode.
Give me that Devo gun! Monkey!
Number 10, the movie took inspiration from other popular films for its dark image. It was the movie's producer, Roland Joff, who acquired the rights from Nintendo to make a movie based on Mario. Nintendo apparently agreed to the Mario movie to be made because they were curious to see where this movie would take the Mario brand, viewing it as some kind of weird science experiment. Both Joff and the movie's directors, husband and wife team Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel, felt that the movie should look visually dark and took inspiration from two movies that were big at the time, those being the 1989 Batman movie and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. The problem with that is both Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles can be dark stories if they want to be. However, two plumbers who enter the Mushroom Kingdom via plumbing pipes, not so much. They also took visual inspiration from the Max Headroom TV show, of which the movie's two directors had previously created, as they wanted the parallel dino world to look dark and weird. Yeah, add that to the list. The Super Mario Bros. Husband and wife directors were also the creators of Max Headroom. Number 9. Casting possibilities. Okay, buckle up guys, because this is where things get really weird. Danny DeVito was always the number one choice to play Mario, to which there is no surprise there, as he would have made a great Mario. But did you know that Michael Keaton and Arnold Schwarzenegger were considered for the role of Koopa? Now that just would have been weird. Imagine Arnie running around saying, "Ah, monkey!" Tom Hanks was considered for Luigi, and if that wasn't strange enough, Hanks was then dropped from the running of Luigi because at the time he had starred in a few box office duds. It's like, yeah, we don't want this guy who would go on to become one of the greatest actors in modern time in our movie. Puh, he's not good enough for that. Yeah, I bet Tom Hanks is absolutely beside himself that he didn't get to star in the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Number 8. Bob Hoskins didn't know who Mario was while making the movie. Bob Hoskins originally didn't want to star in the movie. After starring in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, he didn't want to do any more children's films. That, and he also didn't like the script. The movie's co-director, Annabelle Jankel, kept sending him rewrites and improved versions of the scripts until he finally agreed, despite the fact he didn't know the movie he was starring in was based off the world's biggest video game character.
I used to do Shakespeare and wear tights, but now I'm playing this little character that bounces up and down in a game.
It was only when Hoskins' son found out that he knew the movie he was starring in was based on a Nintendo game character when his son showed him the video game. To which Hoskins probably said, "Oh my god, that looks absolutely nothing like the movie I'm starring in." Incidentally, years later, Hoskins would go on to say that the Super Mario Bros. Movie was the worst thing that he ever did. Ooh, that's pretty intense. Number 7. Super Drunk Brothers. John Leguizamo stated that both he and Bob Hoskins knew that the movie they were starring in was pretty bad, so to ease the pain, both actors would indulge in alcoholical beverages on the set of the movie as a way of getting themselves through the experience. So if you have ever watched Super Mario Bros. The movie and felt that Mario or Luigi looked a little hazy-eyed or off balance, it's probably because the two actors had to get tanked in order to get through the movie.
Like the two average Brooklyn guys hanging out in Brooklyn, taking care of poor men and all that kind of stuff.
All I can say is I can't really blame them. Heck, I wouldn't even be surprised if in the video game Mario dropped a few double vodkas before getting into that scary castle. However, these sneaky drinking sessions may have led to some problems, which leads me to my next point. Number 6. Hoskins' on-set injuries. While making Super Mario Bros., Bob Hoskins suffered many on-set injuries. Now, whether that's due to the as mentioned alcoholic beverages or not, I don't know. And there was one nasty incident in particular, in which he actually broke his finger while filming a scene in which the door of a van slammed on his hand. So the actor then had to wear a cast on his hand, and the production's way of dealing with this was painting it pink to give it more of a skin tone. Hoskins also claimed that while making the movie he was stabbed 4 times, nearly drowned, and even electrocuted. Yikes. And in addition to that, supposedly while filming the movie, John Leguizamo was hit by a car and broke his leg, and also had to temporarily wear a cast. Once again, may or may not be due to the alcoholic beverages. I'm not going to make any speculations. Number 5. Tensions on set. The Super Mario Bros. Movie was being made under 5 production companies, those being Hollywood Pictures, Leitmotiv, Allied Filmmakers, and Synergy Pictures, as well as being distributed by Buena Vista Pictures, and was based on property owned by Nintendo. So naturally there was lots of cooks in this kitchen, with many people with their own visions as to what the Super Mario Bros. Movie should be, with script rewrites being a daily occurrence. John Leguizamo claimed that there was tension between the husband and wife directors Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel and the production company, as the directors were pushing for a darker, more adult movie, whereas the studio basically just wanted a fun children's movie. And Leguizamo further claimed that he felt that's why the movie failed. There seemed to be an unclear image of what the movie should be, with many different visions. Both Bob Hoskins and Dennis Hopper would go on to speak negatively about the husband and wife directing duo, with claims that they were controlling and not easy to work with, and were impulsive with making up ideas on the spot and going through with them without consulting anyone. And according to Hoskins, Morton and Jankel were basically told to get off the set by their own agents, to which supposedly the movie's director of photography, Dean Selmer, had to fill in the gaps and direct the scenes that hadn't been completed. Hey, for all I know, Ricky Morton and Annabelle Jankel are two lovely sweet people. After all, they gave the world Max Headroom, so it can't be all bad. But all I can do is go by information that I found, and the information suggests that when it came to the Super Mario Bros. Movie, they just weren't seeing eye to eye with everyone else involved in the film. Number 4. Cameo. The Super Mario Bros. Movie has a somewhat strange and dubious cameo from famed actor Lance Henriksen as the Fungus King, in which the acclaimed actor was literally on screen for a matter of mere seconds. But I know what you're thinking. But Minty, we already knew this. It's a well-known fact that Lance Henriksen has a cameo in the movie. This video is just clickbait. Well, it's true, the Henriksen cameo is pretty well known, but what many of you might not know is about the cameo that was going to take place in the movie, as an early script of the Super Mario Bros. Movie would see Bruce Willis as John McClane from the Die Hard films, climbing out of a ventilation system in Koopa's fortress, before going about his business. Yep, if Mario Bros. The movie couldn't get any weirder, John McClane was going to randomly show up by climbing out of some ventilation. Which actually would have been quite funny when you think about it. I mean, imagine Koopa doing one of his speeches about the media crystal piece to then randomly have John McClane climb out of the wall. Yeah, I can buy that. Number 3, action figure lineup. Yeah, there was actually a series of action figures associated with the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and to me, they were the best thing to come out of the movie. I love these figures. They were well molded, perfectly capturing the likenesses of the actors from the movie, and they were strong and robust with wonderful bright colours and detail. And it was just a novelty to finally have an action figure of Mario and Luigi, even if they didn't look anything like their video game counterparts. I had so much fun with these figures and thought they looked great, although they didn't exactly take off at the time. None of my friends were playing with them as they were still busy with their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figurines. So my guess is the figures just didn't take off, maybe because the movie failed to impress. Although the kid in the figures commercial reveals one terrible plot point about the movie, that Mario's surname is Mario, making his name Mario Mario.
Mario Mario and Luigi Mario.
Mario and Luigi Mario.
Yeah, look, can we just pretend that never happened? Still, if there is a light at the end of the tunnel with the Mario Bros. Movie, the action figures were great. Number 2. Okay guys, get ready for this. An early draft of the script was considered to be too similar to Rain Man. And yes, I just said that. So when the movie was in its early production days and the studio was trying to come up with a script, scriptwriter Barry Morrow was brought on board to write a draft. Morrow had previously written the smash hit movie Rain Man, because Lord knows, you think Mario Brothers and you think Rain Man. And the script was incidentally scrapped as it was seen as being too similar to the as-mentioned Rain Man, in that it would see Mario and Luigi go on a world-discovering road trip, which would see them on an existential quest. Morrow claimed that he took inspiration from Laurel and Hardy and Albert and Costello with his script, while also diving into spiritual psychological themes. But the movie's production felt that the script just wasn't fun, and mocked it by calling it Drain Man. Ha ha ha, you just got picked on by the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Owned? Number 1, intended sequel. Did you know that the Super Mario Bros. Movie is actually supposed to be a prequel to the original video game? Co-director Rocky Morton described it as, quote, the true story behind Nintendo's creation. Which I guess makes sense. I guess that's why Koopa turns reptilian at the end of the movie, along with Mario and Luigi finally getting their red and green look. All I can say is if the Dino world went from this to this in a matter of years, then some serious shit went down. But yeah, the first Mario movie was meant to be a starting point, establishing the characters in a sort of origin movie fashion. So in the following movies, the adventures can continue. That's why Mario Bros. Ends the way it does, with Daisy coming back to tell Mario and Luigi she needs their help before they all go off on another adventure. An adventure we'll never get to see, making the Mario movie ending just awkward now in hindsight. However, the sequel was cancelled, not only because the movie bombed at the box office, but because Nintendo was so displeased with the movie, they didn't want any more films to be made about their character, and still to this day, no further Nintendo-based movies have been made. Nintendo got so protective of their properties, they even scrapped a planned Metroid movie that was in the works. Mario Bros. May have been the first ever video game movie. It sadly started a precedent that video game movies were going to be a bumpy ride from there. Often when I make these episodes, people always comment and say, "Hey Minty, you left out this fact, or left out that fact, and what about this piece of information?" Well, there was so much juicy information about the Super Mario Bros. Movie, it was insane. Sometimes I have to dig deep to find info, but with Super Mario Bros., the hot gossip was just being handed out like sweets. So there is still so much that I haven't covered, and if you're interested, then just go out and find it all out for yourself. I think the Super Mario Bros. Movie does have merit on a visual level. It looks great and has some interesting set pieces, along with some interesting ideas. But to me, as a Mario movie, it just doesn't work. It's not an awful movie, it's just not a standout movie. And it should have been because it's Mario. Anyway, I'm Minty, and how would you guys like it if you found out that my full name was Minty Minty? See ya! Okay guys, for this week's video poll, I asked the Minty Comedic Arts social media pages, should the Mario Bros. Sequel have happened, or was it better off left alone? And the results were pretty close, as 66 people said no, 58 said yes, and 14 said they would rather see a reboot or remake. If you too would like to join in the video polls, then join the Minty Comedic Arts social media pages at Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Thank you everyone for taking part, and bye for now.